Well, Facebook has been under fire for some time now for not doing enough to crack down on hate speech, toxic content and manipulated posts. It's a controversy that has raged not just in India but all across the world. In the latest revelations, a whistleblower who worked with the company as a data scientist in 2019, Sophie Zhang, claims that she red-flagged a series of fake accounts associated with the Congress, the AAP and the BJP. While the ones associated with the Congress and AAP were taken down, a set of fake accounts allegedly linked directly to BJP MP Vijay were not taken down by Facebook India officials, despite her repeated pleas to do so. This is part of documents that Zhang submitted to India's Parliamentary Committee on IT Affairs last year. While members of the panel apparently voted for Zhang to come and depose before them, parliamentary rules require that foreign nationals have to get permission from the Lok Sabha Speaker. But after more than 6 months, Zhang is still awaiting a response from the Lok Sabha Speaker's office, who has refused to respond to her request. This only adds to earlier allegations that Facebook has been keen not to anger the ruling BJP. In 2020, the Wall Street Journal reported how the platform hesitated in complying with the company's hate speech rules to a BJP MLA from Hyderabad. Well, joining us now on NDTV is the Facebook whistleblower Sophie Zhang. Sophie, thank you very much for joining us straight from California. Your revelations have created quite a stir. Describe to us briefly the effort that you made to take down fake and abusive content and how this was allegedly met with little or no response when it came to the ruling party.
Absolutely, thank you, and it's a pleasure to speak with yourself and the Indian people. So everything you've heard about me regarding my work on fake accounts on Facebook, including in India, was all work that I was doing in my spare time. It was not part of my actual job. I was doing it because I believed it was important, and no one would replace me if I left, and it was no secret to anyone that I was doing it. And so, anyways, in the fall of late 2019, I found several networks of fake accounts across the political spectrum in India. Eventually, there were 5 such networks. 2 were supporting the BJP, 2 supporting the Congress, and 1 supporting the AAP. So these were across the political spectrum. I raised them several times during the course of late 2019. Eventually, in December of 2019, I attracted attention and put up a proper task to consider these problems and was able to get Facebook to agree to take them down because these were clear violations of Facebook's community standards. And so most of the fake accounts were taken down. But when it came to the last network of fake accounts, Facebook stopped because we realized that those fake accounts, which were not many in the first place, it was only 54. It would have been an afterthought if it had not been for what happened next. We found that these 54 fake accounts were tied to the personal account of MP Whsitleblower, the honorable member of parliament from Kaushambi, a sitting member of the BJP, who I understand chairs the Standing Committee on Ethics. And so anyways, as soon as the discovery was made, I could not get an answer from anyone, even though Facebook had already agreed to take the fake accounts down. I first triple-checked my work to make sure they had not made mistakes, for instance, to verify that the MP's account had not been hacked. I proposed that we take the fake accounts down and leave the MP alone because I knew that would be the simplest course of action that very few people could have legitimate objections to.
Right, Sophie. So you're saying that they took down the fake accounts associated with the Congress and the AAP, but not the ones associated with the BJP MP?
To be clear, there were two networks of fake accounts associated that were supporting the BJP. One network who we were not able to find associations, they took down. The second network, which was associated with the personal account of MP Sonkar, Facebook refused to take down. I was never able to get an answer from anyone about what to do with it, about why the hesitancy, because I was only proposing that we take down the fake accounts and leave the MP's account alone.
Sorry to interrupt, Sophie, but how do these inauthentic and fake accounts actually work, and what is the damage that they actually do?
Fundamentally, the damage is to drown out the voices of real people, to allow public discussion to be dominated not by the people, but by a small shady cabal of insiders in the shadows. No one serious defends the use of fake accounts on the merits. The rooting them out is necessary to protect freedom of speech, just like no one can allow fake ballots to be stuffed in ballot boxes. There is nothing wrong with voting for the party of your choice, but if you stuff ballot boxes with 10,000 illegal ballots for that party, then you are drowning out the voices of the people, and that is wrong, no matter what party it is for. And the same principle applies for the use of IT cells and fake accounts, only for the public discussion sphere rather than elections.
Now, when you flagged this repeatedly with those concerned at Facebook, what happened exactly?
There were very few people were even willing to acknowledge it. It was like talking to the wall. The closest analogy that comes to mind, actually, is how the Standing Committee on IT voted unanimously to invite me to testify pursuant to the approval of the speaker, and no one can get an answer out of the speaker ever since. Not myself, not the standing committee, not reporters, or anyone for that matter.
Importantly, you say that you're being blocked from testifying about all this before India's parliamentary panel for information technology. So you've had no response at all from the Lok Sabha speaker.
That's correct. It was publicly reported that the Standing Committee voted unanimously to invite me. No, everyone from both the BJP and the Congress agreed, which I'm sure must have been very difficult in this day and age. This isn't a partisan political issue. It's an Indian political issue. I've been interviewed by NDTV before. I've also been interviewed by Republic TV before. I mean, the only public official in all of India who is blocking my testimony, is opposed to my testimony, is the Honorable Speaker, and he's not explaining why.
Now, Facebook has dismissed your allegations. They claim that combating coordinated inauthentic behavior is their priority and that they are addressing the problems of fake engagements. How do you look at their response?
This is a standard Facebook response in that it appears to contradict me without actually doing so. I'm going to use an analogy to explain. Suppose that tomorrow my girlfriend complains to me, "Sophie, you said you would wash the dishes, but there are still dishes in the sink that are dirty. What happened?" And I respond by saying, "Combating the problem of dirty dishes is always important to me. I always prioritize washing dishes. I work hard to wash dishes. I have invested $50 in cleaning supplies over the past year." All this may be true, but it does not, and it may appear to contradict her question, but it does not actually. It is a classic dodge, and it does not actually answer the question, did I wash the dishes last night or not?
Well, from what I understand, Sophie, Facebook has this problem of wanting to suck up to ruling parties in many countries. But what does that actually mean for democratic engagement in this day and age?
So just a quick correction. With regards to political interference and sucking up to ruling parties, the worst of it that I found was in India. Nowhere else did this happen. That Facebook approved a takedown and then suddenly changed its mind after finding a connection to a sitting MP. In Azerbaijan, in Honduras, when I caught the governments of those countries red-handed, it took time for Facebook to act, but they eventually did act, and they eventually did publicize those takedowns. But not in India, and I always heard anecdotally within the company that political interference from leadership was the worst within India. Facebook has built a system in India in which there is justice for the average person, for the Aam Aadmi, and impunity for the rich and influential, and that is no justice at all. That is the perversion of justice. It is a hallmark of dictatorships such as the People's Republic of China, in which the common people are oppressed by the system and the ruling party has impunity. There's an infamous quote from a Latin American dictator: "For my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law." And that is a society that Facebook is building in India. Democracy cannot survive if we allow it to continue.
Fascinating. Sophie Zhang, thanks very much for joining us on NDTV tonight. Thank you.